7 hours 12 on the 15th day of December in the year 2021. Yes, it's the middle of the month. It is when people start catching a frenzy. Christmas is next week. Oh God, I ain't done the Christmas shopping yet. I ain't even cleaned this house. Them children, this is sheer stress. Since last week, I tell them clean the room. I tell them start cobwebbing. Yes. By this time, a lot of people are stressing over their preparations to Christmas. And they're stressing because one of the things which they do is that they leave the muck in place all year round. They give you a slam dash all year round. They pick up the broom and so on and so forth. And so they allow the muck to build up all year round. And then when you get to this time of the year, they suddenly realize, as they say, cleanliness is next to godliness. And so it is time to clean the place and spruce it up and make it look bright again, because we're going to have a good time. Right? It's Christmas time. We must have a good time. And so, yes, that is what is happening. It's not only happening in the homes and in communities, it's happening nationally. It is happening nationally. By this time, the ministries are planning how they are going to ensure that the people that they enslaved and treated like slaves and treated like outcasts all year round will go home feeling that they are beloved by their employers, both private and public sector employers. Yes, around this time, Christmas parties are being planned. And in cases where there are no Christmas parties, they're planning how to give you a small piece or a hamper or a gift voucher. Right? One of the things I know with gift vouchers is that they ensure that the money stays in the loop. The gift vouchers are always from some place or to some place that are enabling the cabal. So look out, you're going to see lots of gift vouchers in workplaces if you haven't started getting them as yet. I remember the gift vouchers that Prestataria Gal had given. $15,000 for photographs here and there. $4,000 for shoes there and here. Right, that's what they do. This is the time when a lot of money is going to be channeled to the enablers of this cabal. And while the public servants, majority black public servants, will think that, hey, we get in actuality, you're not getting anything. You haven't gotten anything, because these one-off gifts are now for now. They don't have a long-lasting impact on your life and your well-being and the lives of your children and your next generations. They don't. Because, as we like to say in this country, food, let's joke. When you eat it in 8 hours, you shit it out. Yeah, strong language. Right? You eat that, it is processed, and then it is expelled from your body. Some will argue that it has a long-lasting impact on your nutrition. But let's talk about long-lasting impact on these gifts. If you're looking for long-lasting impact, you have to be given gifts that are capital in nature. Gifts that can form capital. Gifts that can acquire capital. I'll stop coming on this program with a guilt trip. I didn't ask anybody who just wait till year end for clean them up. I made my statement. Morning, y'all. Morning. Brenda Casey, how you doing, y'all? Lynette Fraser, morning. Yes. If you want meaningful gifts, or if your employers want to give you gifts, and they're genuine in giving you gifts, let them give you gifts that are tangible. Gifts that will make a real difference in your life. This administration says, in lieu of Christmas party, in place of Christmas parties, we are going to give you $7,000 each. And I want to take your bet. That is not across the public service. That is not across the public service. There is going to be some obscured criteria that will determine whether or not you get $7,000 as a gift in lieu of your Christmas party. One of our viewers we were having a discussion on this thing. An individual took umbrage at the fact that the government is giving $7,000 in lieu of Christmas party. Well, my immediate response was, I'd rather $7,000 than a Christmas party. Because I will go to the Christmas party, I will eat, I will drink, maybe as much as I can eat and drink, depending on how lavish the party is. But it will cost me a whole lot to prepare to go to the party. You gotta look good, you gotta smell good, and all of that. And so it will cost you a lot more than $7,000 to go to the party. To eat little free food and drink little free liquor and so on. I'd rather stay in my corner and get $7,000. But what you pointed out is that while that makes a lot of sense, the government can and should offer more than $7,000 in lieu of Christmas parties. We are now a producing state, we got access to money. That's one of the arguments. I can support that argument by saying this. If they were to host a Christmas party, or when they host Christmas parties, or functions, whatever they call them, they spend more than $7,000 per person. When you factor in the cost of the venue, and the cost of the liquor, and the cost of the food, and decorations, and everything, they spend way more than $7,000 per person. And so, yes, I'm in agreement. They can offer and should give more than $7,000. But yeah, they're bad. Any little handout, $35 US. Any little handout is nice time in the eyes, in the mindset of the cabal which runs this country and manages its resources. But when while they are throwing pittances to the public servants, they are doing wonders. They are doing wonders. There are other communities where they have their strongholds. What is they doing? We continue to talk about the discriminatory nature in which this government manages the country's resources. Right? And so let's talk about that. They're giving you $7,000 in lieu of parties. What you do with that $7,000 is, quite frankly, your business. Maybe it will ensure some people get pepper pot. And a pound of black cake might be $7,000, so all you know. Right? But that aside, I received information that says only the police and the military, joint services, will receive tax-free payments at the end of this year. Tax-free payments at the end of this year. You know, they usually butter up the joint services and so on with a tax-free 1 month salary bonus. I understand it's back in the loop. So the police and soldiers and so on can look forward to that bribe. Why do I call it bribe? Because look around the world and you will recognize that when a nation is being treated badly by its government or by its politicians, the joint services, mainly the army, steps in and rectifies the situation or attempts to rectify the situation. They speak up in defense of their citizens, their fellow citizens. But in Guyana, don't expect that from the military. Don't expect that from the police. In places like Jamaica and so on, the police stand down. They're going strike too. Right? But in Guyana, don't expect it. Because many of those in the military and in the army are of the opinion that they are living a better quality of life. And they're more favored by the cabal than the ordinary citizen. Right? And what gives them a better quality of life? A one-off 1 month salary bonus at the end of the year. A freedom to be corrupt and abusive of other citizens without having to face the law. Good? That is what gives them a better quality of life. And so for as long as the government, the cabal allows them to be corrupt, as long as they can expect a 1 month bonus at the end of the year, they're good with that. As long as they can jump on the patrol vehicle day or night and go into a community and harass somebody and get a raise, they're good with that. They are always the other citizens. And so the government will always continue that they're good by allowing them those freedoms. Yes, the government are facilitators of crime. And so they keep them quiet. So don't expect them to stand up for anything for you. But they are going to get their 1 month bonus, tax-free. While you're going to receive your $2,000 a month back pay, or approximately $2,000 a month back pay, with taxes on it. And while the police and soldiers tell themselves, the majority black police and soldiers tell themselves that they're better off than the average citizen. The people who are really better off than the average citizens are those in the PPP stronghold and those who are enabling the PPP. For example, those who are PYO members, Progressive Youth Organization members, those who live in a certain geographic area of this country. Let me tell you all something. Credible sources have informed me that in Region 6, PYO members were used to identify farmers who were to benefit from quote-unquote flood relief. Now, usually, the task of identifying farmers who suffered as a result of flood or any other catastrophic event falls to extension officers. The Ministry of Agriculture employs extension officers, right? Employs extension officers. They liaise with farmers all year round. Farmers have a problem, they contact them, they work together, they find solutions and so on. Farmers, they give guidance to farmers all year round. So they usually know who the farmers are and things like the size of the farms and so on. And so if it comes to an assessment of flood relief, the extension officers have that information and can work with the farmer to make a proper presentation and in terms of what was lost, a proper assessment and so on. But in Region 5 and 6, the PPP sidelined the agricultural officers, the extension officers, and they gave that task to PYO members, Progressive Youth Officers members, PYO, Progressive Youth Organization. The PYO is the youth arm of the PPP. And so they give it to the youth arm of the PPP members. They give it to them to do this work, this assessment. What is the end result? The end result is that many farmers who are bona fide farmers did not receive a fair assessment of their losses, and in some instances did not receive any assessment. So some of them received compensation for their losses, others received no compensation, and yet there are others who received compensation that was not adequately calculated or fairly calculated. Keep that in mind. My information is that approximately 100 PYO members were employed in Regions 5 and 6 to do this assessment. And at the end of the day, the amount of money that was paid out to the PYO members who did this assessment amounted to more than what the farmers got for their losses. I'm told that the PYO members raked in anywhere between $200 and $300 million. You hear what I'm saying? $200 to $300 million, Guyanese dollars, taxpayers' money, was paid out to the members of the PYO for doing this. Many of the PYO officers, PYO members doing the assessment got far more money than the farmers who actually lost, who actually suffered a loss. And so here it is. The PPP again is using the country's resources to enrich its cohorts, its enablers, at the expense of citizens who are really suffering from losses and so on in this society. But don't expect anything to be said about it. Certainly not in the National Assembly. You ain't got no voice in the National Assembly. Right? Don't expect the opposition to make a big furore about it. They ain't got time for that. It's two things we're looking after now, Congress and Christmas. Both of them got seized. We ain't got time with anything else. Anything else can wait on the back burner. But this is what is happening. While public servants are receiving chicken feed money, like we call it, even in lieu of parties, the enablers of the PPP and those who the PPP wishes to keep happy are receiving big money. $250,000 to people who have already gotten their severance pay. That was paid out last weekend. $200 to $300 million paid out to PYO members for assessing flood damage in regions 5 and 6. Many of them receiving more money than the farmers who actually suffered the losses. $7,000 in lieu of Christmas parties to public servants in agencies where funds are available. But turn a fly on the wall and look for the gift packages which ministers and their assistants and their concubines and their minions will be taking home. No minister will go home with a $7,000 voucher. No minister's assistant will go home with a $7,000 voucher in lieu of party. As a matter of fact, I guarantee you they will be partying. Many of them at sleeping and Palm Court and so on. And the bills will be sent to the ministry on the backs of the taxpayers. Keep that in mind. But it's Christmas and it's Congress. We ain't got time with that. Good? It is now 7 hours 34. And let us talk about rape. A lot of people don't like hear that word rape. It conjures up everything bad in the humankind. And let us talk about racism. Again, a lot of people don't like to hear about racism because it brings back bad memories and it paints a bad picture of humankind. But yesterday we learned of a letter written by someone named Roy Gokul. Yes, that's the name, Roy Gokul. To the president of the university that Dr. Hines lectures at. And according to that letter, Gokul argues that Dr. Hines is a racist because he has made it public that he likes his race most. He didn't say that he hates other races. He simply said he likes his race most. He likes all races, but he likes his race most, and that made him a racist. Gokul went on to say that Dr. Hines is a racist because he embraces black people such as Rickford Burke, Sherrod Duncan, and Mark Benchcap. He embraces them. And he calls them brothers. And so, because he calls people who look like him, maybe suffer some of the same consequences he suffers or suffered, are in a struggle in defense of black people in this country, and they're down-pressed in this country, because I'm sure Dr. Hines' struggle is not only for black people. It might be focused on the inequities which are affecting black people in the majority. But every other ethnic group benefits from the resolution of these issues. He's racist for that. He's racist because in Guyana, black people are majority public servants. They control most of the public service jobs. They have a lot of freedom. They can do as they like. Right? They can do as they like, including raping Indian women without consequence. In Guyana, 2021. Well, let's talk about racism and rape. If I'm racist, if Dr. Hines is racist for loving those of his ilk more than he loves others, so let it be. I would choose that too. Because I love my people more than I love anyone else. I love my children. I love all children. But I love my children more than I love anybody else's children. As old people say, me not sure me bad for nobody good. So if you were to listen to Goku, it would seem as though to avoid being considered racist or a hater in general, you have to profess a love for other people other than yourself, for people other than yourself. And so long as you don't put anybody above you, you are racist. Well, those of us who are black and proud, and those of us who are willing to stand up and fight for the right of citizens in this country who are being oppressed by this cabal, who happen to be the majority black, will wear that label, that banner, with pride. Call us racist. You see, the PPP over the years have come to understand one thing about black leaders in particular. Majority black leaders. If you want to shut them up, call them racist. Black people don't like to be called racist. Black people like to profess their love and show their embracing of others. They don't like to be called racist. So if you want to shut them up, if you want to put them in a spot, if you want them to cower in fear, call them racist. But all of us are not like that. Some of us are woke enough to understand the psychological warfare. And that is what it is, psychological warfare. Remember when the coalition was going after certain miscreants left behind by the past administration. All the Jack Dio cabal had to say from Freedom House is that the coalition is on a witch hunt against Indian people. It is racist. And just as the campaign to rid the public service, especially of the miscreants, started, it stopped. Because leaders in the coalition were not happy, couldn't deal with being called racist. And when it happened, I told a few friends of mine, including, God rest the dead, they say, Imran Khan. I said the coalition got y'all. I mean, the PPP got y'all. They know. Black leaders don't like to be called racist. Whether they're guilty or otherwise. Once you call them racist, they will shut up. They will change course. The PPP always does it. Because they've always done it in the past and it has worked for them. This is 2021. There's some of us who don't give three hoots about who consider us racist. Because we recognize the importance of standing up for what is right and what is just. And since it affects majority black people, we have to speak in the name of black people to confront this injustice. But let us talk about racism. Race hate is promoted continuously in this country by the PPP and Indo-Guyanese. Not all Indo-Guyanese, but usually when the social scientist speaks, he speaks broadly, meaning the majority. So I don't have to stop to say majority Indo-Guyanese. I say Indo-Guyanese. You take it as a majority. There are exceptions to the rule. Race hate is inbred. As a part of the psyche of the average Indo-Guyanese. From birth, they paint the black man, the African man, as the bogeyman. They tell their children, if their children are misbehaving, behave yourself. I'm going to call a black man like Kayewe. You hear me? Behave yourself. I'm going to call a black man. And so they teach their children to fear and despise black people. As they grow, many of their children, like every child, get attracted to children because they're people. But they get pulled aside. The black man, are you friend? What are you doing with the black man there? Because in their eyes, black people are lesser than they are. And so they keep teaching their children to despise black people, to hate black people for all kinds of reasons. Because black man got kidnapped by you. Black man a bully. Black man want everything for themselves. And that's what they teach their children. You see a black man, I got it. Not trust him. They smile in your face and behind your back, they put a dagger. I've been among them. I've seen them. Black man hungry belly. You know why they say that? Or how they justify that? Every opportunity they get, they offer you something. There are many of us who can't resist an offer. One baby cook dal and rice today, want some? And out of the kindness of our hearts, out of our humanity, black people generally don't like hurt other people's feelings. And so you might not want dollar rice, but you want to be nice to your neighbor or your friend. Or somebody you consider your neighbor or your friend. All right, man, I'm going to take some, no problem. And you're so nice, you're always nice, and they always offer you, you always accept, and they form their opinion. Every time I offer a black man food, he take him. A hungry belly black man. I never come help me do this thing now. Me want to try this thing, but them by the home. Out of the goodness of your heart. But that helps them to fashion in their minds. A black man I want jankalar. That's how they bring their children up. You want something bad done? Call a black man. And many of us support the outlook because we are always willing to help. We're always willing to accept. We're always willing to be nice. And say they paint us all with this broad brush. And the myths live on. I been want to with that to marry no black man because them black man hungry belly, them not like work. Every day them go shop go buy 2 pounds sugar. I heard Indians say that. As a matter of fact, I know of an Indian guy who had a black friend, or at least the friend thought he was a friend, considered him a good friend. And he set eyes on his sister, the Indian guy's sister. And they started dating. And that is where the fallout came. Because the Indian guy didn't want the black guy to date his sister, regardless how much body friend they be. And at the end of the day, it came down to that. Me no want no black man take me sissy and punish she. Black man is punished and you punish me sissy. Because that is what they taught from the cradle to the grave. That black people are inferior to them. That is racism. There's so many other examples, but I want to give it to you as raw as that. That is racism. I have Indian friends. At least I consider them my friends. I'm sure many of them consider me their friends. But just as I do with black people, I do with Indians. Me not licky. Me not eat about. Me never want. Me always just don't eat. No matter how me hungry. Thank God, my children have the same attitude. They could go to their relatives' home and they're never hungry, even if they're hungry. Some of us need to adopt that attitude. Black man always want one handout. And it is that mentality, that mindset, black man always want one handout. That is why the government treats us the way they treat us. That is why the police can always get a handout at the end of the year instead of meaningful wages and salaries increase. That is why the public servants can be given a handout, a pittance at the end of the year instead of meaning salary and wages increase. Because they always want a handout. That is why the union leaders and representatives can be controlled, because they always want a handout. Here how it goes. Why you want a duty-free concession means a union rep, means a shop stroll. I'm going to ask the finance minister, or I'm going to ask the labor minister if they can set up a duty-free allowance for me. That's where they want you. And you get your duty-free allowance. And you think that you are above the workers that you represent. You're now driving car. But you have just compromised the ground on which you could have stood for your workers. Because when you go to that negotiation table next time around, you will be reminded that we were nice to you. We got you a car. And so you're caught up now in servitude. I gotta respect these people. They got me a duty-free concession. And if I don't play nice, they can withdraw it, or next time around, I can't get any. And so you compromise your own position and that of the workers because you always look for a handout. Some of us are guilty as hell for putting us in these difficult situations. Patrick Yard, Mark Light, They can't go negotiate with the government with any strength. Because they fell trap. Like it is in the Indian psyche. They offered them gifts and they accepted. And fell into that trap. The snare was already there. And they will always do it. And they got some black man who not land. And so here again we are at the end of the year. People taking handouts. While the cabal and the enablers cut away the cream of the wealth of this country. Racism is part of the reason why public servants are treated the way they are treated. Why black employees in the private sector are treated the way they are treated. Because Indians have it in their psyche. From the cradle to the grave, they have been taught that they are superior to black people. You are a racist when you tell yourself that you're superior to another ethnic group. That is racism. I've not heard it from Dr. Hines. I've not heard it from Mark Benchcop. I've not heard it from Sherrod Duncan. I've not heard it from Richard Burke that they're superior to any Indo-Guyanese. But Goku calls them racist. And in particular, he calls Dr. Hines racist. And to prove his case, he says Dr. Hines is racist because he fights for black people. Black people who have all the freedom in this country. But yet, hundreds of them were dismissed from the public service where Goku says they control the majority jobs. Hundreds of them were dismissed without due consideration or reasons when the cabal took office. And they remain dismissed and they have not been compensated with a dime. All they receive is what they were due in terms of wages and salaries and maybe other benefits up to the time of their dismissal. They ain't get no severance pay. And they get $250,000 because they're out of work. They get $250,000 grants. Many of them are still holding pink slips. But yet they have so much freedom in this country. Many of them can't get approval for certain kinds of businesses in this country. A few of them who were granted approval for certain kinds of businesses in this country, like fuel importation, while the coalition was in office, had their licenses taken away immediately after the cabal took over. Many of them who were given lands integral to the growth and development of their businesses like Sivan's Waste Management and Car Care Enterprise and so on, were given hell to keep those lands because attempts were made to take them away when the cabal came. But Guyanese, black Afro-Guyanese have so much freedom in this country and they can do as they like according to Gokul. But they can't open businesses in certain sectors. Very few of them, if any at all, almost none of them, have a stake in the oil sector, whether onshore or offshore services. Because entry into that sector is made difficult for them. Import-export, entry into that sector is made difficult for them. And that is why we usually ask where is the alternative when we say boycott. That is why the Indians dominate and the Portuguese dominate. Historically, you will see that a plantocracy, the colonial masters, had on the books, if they have been removed, laws were on the books to prevent black people getting into certain sectors of the economy. and to give at this an unfair advantage to the Portuguese, for example. In the import business. And so up until now, black people are facing those upward challenges. But black people got all the freedom according to Voodoo, including the freedom to rape. Well, let me talk about rape. Y'all want to talk about rape? Let's talk about rape. Since I was a little boy growing up, and the evidence is still there, that rape is cultural to the Indians. Note I said it is cultural to the Indians. Whether it is statutory rape or other forms of rape, it is cultural to Indians. It starts in the homes, many homes, it starts there. Incest is rape. Fathers deciding, a me make them, a me mind them, a me have them. They must get first touch of the underage children. It's incest, but it's rape. And they cover it down. Because be family secret. I mean, I want nobody know. Then go cuss me. Now go station. Are you daddy? It happens across this country. Many Indian families can tell you about it. Per capita, I guarantee there is more rape among Indians than there is among black people. Whether perpetrated on the other people or their own people. I guarantee you that. Go check the records. Just as how suicide is dominant among Indians, sometimes you need to find out the reasons behind those suicides. We don't confront these issues. We don't talk about them. We don't like to talk about them. Because many of us don't want to be called racist. But if you're going to drop it at the door, one more, let's talk about it. Last week, God rest the dead. My sympathies to the family. There was a murder in Lusignan or somewhere, an Indian community, where a man strangled his spouse. He choked her to death. If you look, if you follow the story, you will understand that rape was involved. If I remember clearly, he might be 43. She started something. Let's say she started 7. They had a 25-year-old relationship. But when you did the calculation, she and that man, and all the man that she is, none of my business. But let me talk about rape. He's older than she is. But when you do the math, the two of them became involved in that relationship when she was mere 13 years old. She was only 14, below the age of consent. Yes, she was 38, and they had a 25-year relationship. And he was older than she is, much older too. And at the end of the day, he choked her to death. Rape was involved. She was only 13. And the possibility is, rape started the relationship. And in many of these Indian communities, that is what happens. Then they rape them girl. Their parents come together and say, let we marry them. Now let go station. You not gonna look good. Now let me son go jail. Me beg you better. Let me settle up, let me marry them. Quick time they get a bamboo wedding. Yeah, want me talk? Let me talk. You like to tell black people how you get your mother all over the place and so on. Indians got your mother all over the place too. Black men are like married. Black men may not be married. They might live home. But Indians just live home too. But the thing is, when black people are honest about their marital arrangements, we live at home, we ain't married. Indians say, I'm your husband. And we married under bamboo. There's no legality. There's no more entitlement marrying under bamboo than there is living home. Jackie was married under bamboo. And the nation came to realize. The nation came to realize that was a big farce. Because they ain't got no legality on the marriage under bamboo. And he never legalized it because he never registered it. So Jackie was president of this country, they living home like any other black man. Where the cost there? Where the cost there? Rape you're talking about? An enterprise will tell you that anytime after 5:30 or 6 in the afternoon, they dare not walk those roads alone. Ask them. Go and more, go find out. Go enterprise, go find out. Those young ladies prefer stay at the park till Die Kingdom come. Forget what boss to carry them in an enterprise or in a more. Because when them go a public road after certain when them can't get a taxi, then they're not walking. What happens? They are snatched by their own and raped. Y'all hear what I say? Rape is an Indian cultural thing. Check on the international scene. Indian women are raped in the streets of India. And they dare not complain because they get stoned to death in this 2021 year. And Gokul has the temerity to talk about blacks raping Indians in this country without consequence. Bring the evidence. Bring it. Bring it. That is how they stereotype us. That is what they use to set the minds of their children against us, to see us as lesser beings. They're barbaric. They're bullies. They're thieves. They don't like work. They like children murder all over the place. And let's address those stereotypes and see where they rightfully belong. See where they rightfully belong. You want to know a story? You go and talk with some Indian girls or women who have relationships with black men. There's some who have been strong enough to walk away from their relatives despite all that they tell them. Despite how much they outcast them. They've been strong enough to start and maintain relationship with black people, black men. And you go and talk with them and they will tell you, for the greater part, they are treated better than black men, better by black men than they're treated or they were treated with Indian men, men of their own type. Go find that out. Ask them why they chose to leave their own kind and go and start relationship with blacks. They will detail for you a history of being raped and abused by their own type. And the love with which they are treated by black men. Rape and abuse y'all talking about? I heard an Indian woman say, the man pull a man down with you, you're not good for nothing. Even nuns can't find juice for you. Let's be honest. Respect for women, or disrespect for women rather, check the Indian community. Check the Indian community. Rape has been on show by Indians in this country, Indians in high society, Indians in government. You remember, you had a minister of government who impregnated a 13-year-old Amerindian girl. You remember? Public outcry. Bar Jagdeo removed him from office, but kept him in the bosom of the government. Rape is culture. Sexual abuse is cultural. Incest is cultural among the Indians. I'm not saying rape doesn't take place in every other ethnic group. It takes place. Human frailties, but per capita, almost as a norm. You check the Indian community. So Gokul, I think your LinkedIn said you are an analyst. You need to start analyzing the facts and present them. Present your findings accurately. Don't bring that at our door. We don't have freedom in this country. We don't have freedom to be employed according to our qualification. Recent example, a Jamaican eminently qualified, heads and shoulders above Vishnu Prasad at GCOM, but he didn't get the job. He didn't get the job. People like Mark Bino, people like Vince Adams, unmatched in their qualification and experience in the areas where they worked. They were removed, unceremoniously removed, dismissed by this cabal. And replaced by people who are lesser qualified than they are. And you check throughout the country and you will see that. What freedom is Gokul talking about? Brings to mind the other one who said that black people are representative in their numbers in the PPP government. Because if you look at the population spread, they are represented in the government according to the percentage in the population. Even if those numbers are representative, let us investigate the impact of their presence. Let us investigate the freedom with which they have to make decisions. He dares not put a signature to anything without their okay. We could talk the thing. Gokul, go back, do your research, bring the data, and let us talk about freedom and rape. Racism and rape. Racists and rapists. It is now 8 hours 12. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. You're tuned to the Buxtonian Morning Time. Morning, neighbor. Morning. Happy Friday. How are you doing? Welcome to another program of BUXTONIAN Morning Time. I wonder what your yesterday was like and what your today will be. But I hope you're considering what you would like your tomorrow to be. And since there is no tomorrow, it has to be every day after today. Haha. Morning. How are you doing? Hope you all had a productive day yesterday and stayed safe. Hope you slept well last night and you're energized this morning. I can tell you I'm energized this morning. Not that I had the best rest last night because something was resting on my stomach. Old people said this thing up on my chest all night. And you know when thing up on your chest all night, what you got to do? You got to spill your guts. You got to talk. You got to run your mouth. You got to vent your feelings. You got to get this thing off your chest. As long as they want to get it off my chest, as long as they want to tell shit. You know? This morning, I want to get something off my chest. And I want y'all help me get it off your chest because it as much as it is oppressing and oppressing me, I am sure, I hope, it is also oppressing and oppressing you. It is 7 hours 15, 7 hours 14 on the 17th day of December in the year 2021. And since it's Friday and we can take it light, I want to take it light. But, as in boxing, never drop your guards. Don't let your guards down. Protect yourself at all times. Okay? Put up your guards. Keep your guards up at all times. Not take setup. Don't you take setup. I want you to protect yourselves at all times. Because I'm taking it light. But. Is anyone celebrating a birthday today? It's Friday. Happy birthday to you. If you celebrated a birthday anytime in the course of the last 2 weeks or so, happy birthday to you. I hope you had a wonderful one. And I hope you are refreshed in this your new year. Let's listen to Ziggy Marley. This is Black, my story, not his story. Used to be one of my favorites as a youngster growing up. Pick up yourself.
Black
my story, not his story. My story, Black, my story, not his. Keep that in mind. Let me take time out to shout out. I see some people wishing Dr. Hines happy birthday. I don't know if it's Dr. Hines' birthday. At least I didn't say that. I wish everybody a happy birthday, especially if you observe the birthday in the last 2 weeks or so. But if you all says Dr. Hines' birthday, so be it. I'm looking forward to a birthday drink. You know? Dr. Hines, you have to come to Kiram's place tomorrow. So I will get that birthday drink after Congress. Maybe we'll get to, well, in any which way somebody gonna be celebrating something. So definitely it has to be a celebration tomorrow. And it could be a double whammy. Dr. Hines' birthday, according to people, I don't know if they're right. Some people must be mecky. And the results of Congress, right? Whatever those results are, somebody has to celebrate. If you're in the Northern camp, you're going to celebrate. You're in the Van West Charles camp, you're going to celebrate. You're in the Risedale Fort camp, you're going to celebrate. Joe Harmon camp, you're going to celebrate. Somebody must have something to celebrate. Wherever the celebration, whoever you're celebrating for, come to Kiram's place, let me celebrate, man. Including Dr. Hines' birthday, according to y'all. I don't know if it's true. Right? But y'all come, let's have some after Congress or during the Congress fun. Don't worry, the Scrooges, they might come and shut it down, but who cares? Huh? You know, you're never surprised when you know who you're dealing with. Like I usually tell people, I could live with the devil in hell. Because I know the devil. Well, welcome to another, welcome to another program. You know, as I play this song just now by Ziggy Marley, Black My Story, I reflect. Where did I know this song from? How did I come to love this song so much? You know, I haven't played this song in quite a while, honestly, but it was really one of my my younger days pick. I will always, in fact, I think I had an entire album. I used to collect music, and I had some of the strangest music. I had a Sarafina album. Gladys Knights and the Pips. Hey, well, I know y'all want to know why I love all these too. Right. Anyways, we're talking about Black My Story. So I reflect, I'm reflecting, how did I come to learn this song? So, love this song. Bonita Harris, Sister Bonita, I am really thankful for the WPA folks, the elders who have helped to fashion me into who I am today. Right? BUXTONIAN elders from across the country. Rupert Rupnarine. Josh Ramsamy, Josh was my boy. Moses Bagwan is my boy. Right? I wonder where Josh is. I can't remember. But you know what? You know what? I have tremendous respect for those elders. And they're youngsters, well, youngsters compared to the elders, but the elders still, right? There's still a lot of them that I'm in contact with, past WPA folks and current WPA folks. Some Afro-Guyanese, some Indo-Guyanese, Portuguese, Amerindian-Guyanese. Yes. People like Ashton Simon. I don't ever forget Ashton Simon, an Amerindian brother. He used to be close to Rupert Rupnarine. Anyway, how did I come to like this song so much, Black My Story? Bonita Harris gave me a t-shirt, a white t-shirt. I will never forget that t-shirt. A v-neck white t-shirt with either blue or black lining the V. And that is all it had on it. Black My Story. Right? Every opportunity I got, I wore that shirt. And out of curiosity, I went and what is this about? And there it was, Ziggy Marley, Black My Story. And if you listen to the lyrics of the song, and if you're curious enough about your story, then you will do the necessary research and you will learn so much. I'm getting emotional, don't go there. Those who know me would know some of the things I collect. Right? There's this book, I think a book of illustration by one person named what? I think is he a Stanley? I think he is an African. He's an Afro-American artist, I think. Um, and he depicted all the black history and so on in drawings, as we like to say. I have a set of collections of all the Afro-American leaders and struggles and fights and so on for the freedom and thing. You might be surprised of some of the things I collect. But those things and those people all shaped me. And that is why I can stand and I can pronounce on issues proudly. First as a black man. An Afro-Guyanese. I can talk about things proudly because I have no fear. I'm so comfortable in my skin that I don't look around when I have to talk about things which concern me and us. I think one of the things which this society lacks, and I'm talking about the African Guyanese community right now. To some extent, I believe that there's a lacking compared to what I was brought up in and the exposures that I had. There's a lacking among young Afro-Guyanese. They're not aware, they're not in connection in any way, shape, or form with their history. They don't understand where they came from. They don't understand the sacrifices of the ancestors. And the ancestors don't necessarily have to be those who were enslaved hundreds of years ago. It includes them. They are at the top of the pinnacle in my book. But every generation which came after them formed part of the ancestral basis for us. And the youngsters of today, and when I say the youngsters of today, I'm not talking about only teenagers and young adults into mid-age, quite frankly. And some people older do not have an appreciation for their history. They don't even know, they don't even have an inkling of what their history really is. And for the want of wisdom or knowledge, people will suffer, and people are really suffering because of the lack of a knowledge, a lack of their history, ignorance of their history. What has been resting on my stomach all night? Why one cuss so bad about a situation that I've been cussing about for the last 16 months or so? Well, let me don't say 16, let me say the last 12. I've been speaking to people about a young man at the BV Triumph NDC named Jamal Bagot. I brought to your attention the BV NDC selling the plot of land identified for BV Triumph Market at the public road opposite Agriculture Road to a private auto sales dealer. I brought that to your attention. And all the alleged underhand dealings that were taking place under the chairmanship of Bagot. Lo and behold, Bagot was voted chairman again for the BV Triumph NDC. Or certainly the team that Bagot is on maintain the chairmanship. And the Baronians have stayed in a comatose state. Elton Macrae, if you want to call me this morning, let's talk about these issues. You called me yesterday morning and just, I tell you the truth, I was really, really aggravated and still am aggravated. Because this is an issue that I've been publicizing a while now. What is happening at the BV Triumph NDC? The Baronians are either daft or dumb. Deaf perhaps. How can these things be happening in your neighborhood? things which will affect your now and next generations. And you allow it to happen. You don't confront the councillors. You don't confront the chairman and councillors of the NDC. An agreement to sale has been made up with John Finance for 100 plus acres of land belonging to Baronians. According to former Commissioner of Lands and Survey Trevor Ben, some of it are owned, privately owned. They are private proprietorship land. The rest of it are owned by lease. But the NDC has just gotten up and sold it or entered into an agreement to sell it to John Finance. If you all see nothing wrong with that, I see a lot wrong with it. Just the other day I was talking about the advantages that the Portuguese, among others, were given in preventing blacks from getting into imports. Now here it is, a whole swat of land, black people land, is being taken, not leased, not rented, not entered into partnership, but sold, being given, being sold to John Finance. One call, and I expect he will call me again, because when I raised this issue early in the year, I got a call to say, who if not John Finance? John Finance employs a lot of black people. I said because a company owned by a Portuguese or Portuguese family or Portuguese investors employs a lot of black people. Black people land must be sold to them. That basically was the argument. And so I expect to get that call again this morning. But I want to say to black folks, I want to say to the Baronians in particular, your demonstrativeness, your children, your offspring, your next generations are applying to the Ministry of Housing and give the royal runaround, sometimes for more than half of their lives, to get a piece of land measuring what? 40 by 80 or some foolishness like that. A place you can barely build a chicken coop on and get space to walk. Your generations are made to apply and basically beg and sit and wait and wonder when they will get through. And when they get through, they sent all over the place, away from where their neighbors string berry, away from their roots in the village, away from the region in which they were born and bred, weakening the cohesiveness of the village, weakening the cohesiveness of the black family, weakening the cohesiveness of the region. And instead of apportioning that land, 100 plus acres of land, plus what is remaining, instead of protecting it and ensuring that it gets passed on to your next generation, you're sitting back and allowing the NDC to dispose of it, knowing very well that they are the younger generations among you who can't get a piece of land out of the housing ministry easily. What kind of people are you? What kind of people are we to allow such to happen? What kind of people? Are we docile? And the worst thing is, the people who are perpetrating this injustice on you are people from your backbone They are your villagers. They have to be somebody's children and grandchildren from the BV community. Who is Jamal Bagot? There's this other guy, what's his name? I think they say he's a Muslim. What's his name? I'll get his name eventually. Who are these people? Don't they have relatives in BV? Whether older or younger? Can't you get to their relatives to get to them so that they can get some sense? Is there nobody in the community who can sit and have a conversation with them that they can understand the importance of protecting this asset for Boronians? Or are Boronians so carefree? So carefree that they don't even pay attention to what's happening in their community and what is happening with their asset. I don't want to believe it. I believe there is a serious failing of leadership in that community, and let me address it. First and foremost, the NDC is controlled by APNU. Or at least people who contested the election under the banner of APNU. Of course, majority PNC. APNU is now in tatters. You mean to tell me the PNC ain't got control over none of these councillors that they can talk with? Or is it true that the former regional chairman grandmothered Bagot into these positions and facilitated and continues to facilitate his lawlessness? Is it true? Or is it just that PNC ain't got control over these people? You mean to tell me these people campaign under your name? You mean to tell me they claim, according to the lists, they are your representatives on the council, and you can't give them directions? Well, if that is the case, the old PNC should just shut up and go home. No leadership whatsoever. Because I will tell you, in NDCs where the PPP have the majority, they have weekly caucuses with their councillors, and they instruct them on how to deal with matters. And if that is not happening, which I am almost for the councillors need changing, because they don't represent the will of the people. And secondly, the party which they represent perhaps also needs changing, because they're not looking out for the will of the people. How is it? How is it? And my understanding is that this motion, this whatever, this decision, got the support of the APNU councillors and the PPP councillors. Well, quite frankly, I can tell you, I will not be surprised that the PPP councillors support it. Because in the eyes of the PPP and the PPP representatives, it's less asset for black people control. It's more assets to our people. Y'all know of what the price is, or the proposed price is above the table. Has anybody dug deeply to find out what went below the table? Who was paid what? Who was granted which favor? Who was promised what in the future? To give this deal a blessing? The Baronians need to get off of their laurels. I see Trevor Ben say, he lists a whole list of us, including Kiraki Amsterdam. It's time you all get up your butts and deal with this. Get off your butts and deal with it. Well, the Baronians need to get off their butts to deal with this. I am making a public call. Sunday, 2:30, same street with the NDC office. Let's have a meeting, Baronians. I'm going to bring Dr. Hines along kicking and screaming, even if. But I know he will come willingly. Elton McQuay and others, if you're listening, publicize this meeting in BV, wide and far. If you need Laudela equipment to publicize it, I'm making mine available. Find a vehicle, I'll set it up on it. Let Baronians come out in their numbers on Sunday, 3 o'clock at the Market Street. And let us talk about this issue and see how it can be resolved in favor of Baronians. Baronians must not be made to lose that piece of land to Jam Finance. Or anybody, as a matter of fact. The children and the children of Baronians ought to be the beneficiaries of those land. And so I'm making that public call. Y'all show some interest. Come out and let's discuss this and discuss the way forward. I don't think it's a done deal. Because if I remember clearly, when such deals are taking place, they have to be advertised in the official gazette and people get the opportunity to challenge them. And so in my mind, even if one person challenges that deal and can prove ownership of a piece of land that is caught up in that deal, then that deal itself will be tied up. And so the more Baronians who are prepared to challenge that sale or proposed sale, the better your chances of saving those hundreds of acres of land for yourself and your next generation. Wake up, BV people. Wake up, black people. You don't mine land. You ain't got to mine them. You don't got to feed them. As a matter of fact, it will feed you. It will mind you. If you be good stewards. And if you find that there are people among you right? If there are people among you, if you find people among you who are prepared to give away, trade away, or deal away your assets, you have to come to a position to deal with them and deal with them condignly. Deal with them condignly. Because they are threats to your future and threats to your children's future and their children's children's future, your next generations. In their quest to be among the haves, in their quest to fatten themselves on the patrimony of the people, they don't have any time with you. They do as they like. Sell a market piece to the car dealer, and 2 or 3 of us get a vehicle each. We have arrived. We get a vehicle. Or we get vehicles. We smarter than them. I hope all of you live to regret the decision. Because that wasn't being smart. I hope some of you live to see your children and grandchildren enslaved to the very people that you give away the community's assets to. Because the possibilities are real. Possibilities are real. And so when you find them among you in your communities, and you realize that they want to get to political office and they want to get to this office and that office because of the greed. And they desires to lay their hands on your property, to get control of your property through corrupt practices, to enrich themselves through corrupt practices. You must come up with a plan for dealing with them. All I can say is they must not rest easy. And so for the Bagots and the others who are bent on giving away the inheritance of black people, of Baronians, to other people, other ethnicities, you all come up with a plan and deal with them. Sit as a community, come up with a plan to deal with them. How much longer will y'all continue in this blindness? How much longer? You know there were supposed to be some changes at the level of the NDC. I call in names and I call in people this morning, I don't care. There were at least 2 councillors who resigned from the NDC because they couldn't deal with what was happening there. And as the laws prescribe, those 2 councillors had to be replaced. The replacements chosen for those 2 councillors, based on the list of contestants, include Elton McRae. So Elton McRae, and I think the other person is some Peters or something. I can't remember the exact name of the other person. But Elton McRae, along with another person, were recognized as the lawful, the legitimate replacements for those 2 councillors who resigned from the NDC. And for more than 6 months now, I understand the overseer, somebody named Otto, along with the current chairman and others at the NDC, have been giving those 2 councillors hell to sit. Up until now, as I'm speaking, they have not been able to sit at a statutory meeting of the NDC because those who are currently there are trying to put spokes, all kinds of spokes in their wheels to prevent them sitting there because they recognize they have the interest of the Baronians at heart. And if they were to sit at the council meeting, this nonsense couldn't succeed. They couldn't get to sell these lands as they proposed. And so they did all that they could to keep them off of the council up until now. Well, the land deal is going ahead. Let me see if they will now release their stronghold on the council so that these 2 men can sit on the council to represent Baronians. But the reality is, all kinds of spokes, the overseer and others at the council have been putting in their wheels so that McRae and the other person identified couldn't go to council meetings to prevent such lawlessness from happening. And so Baronians have to come out and go to the council meeting and block it up and say if our representatives can't sit, then there can be no council meeting. It's as simple as that. It's now 7 hours 50. Trust me, I'm opening up the lines now. The lines are open, you can call. Hello. line.
African glory.
Caller Live, good morning.
Morning, Kadaki. I wonder what type of stupidness or African Guyanese is doing in these NDCs. I mean, the stuff you're saying, it just leaves one to just think is that, hell, we ain't got no sense. I mean, we're just selling out our ancestral land. We're just selling out to the highest bidder. And I guess it's because we're at the bottom of the ladder, and anything that's offered, we just taking it, the bribes. I mean, to me, based on what has been going on in Guyana, especially for African Guyanese, we are simply not going to be a people in good standing, leaving stuff for our children. And it is a sad state of affairs that we're in as a people, even as a whole, even in Guyana, in the Americas, and even on the continent. The way we are actually allowing, and that's what it is, allowing others to come and take for just pittance. Something has got to wrong with us to be doing this, for this level of stupidity to take place. So I'm hoping that the sale can be reversed, but we're hearing about this after the fact. And what's been happening? Nothing. So I do hope that on Sunday your call is heeded and we see some type of possibly reversal. But it's dire needs for Guyanese, African Guyanese, because guess what? We own less than 10% of lands in Guyana. And we are close to 40-50% of the people that live in Guyana. That does not bode well for us. And looking at the future, I am not sure, we are in a position to win anything until there is a revolution of some type. And that's my take, Kadaki.
Thank you, caller. We own less than 10% and we continue to give away. We continue to have it whittled away from us by people dangling inducements to a few. But you know why people can continue to take inducements and give away inheritance? You know why people can continue to take inducements and whittle away your resistance? Because they're not made to face the consequences of their actions. They're not made to face the consequences of their actions. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world, yet lose his life? Call your life, good morning. Is that what the Bible says?
Yeah.
What does it profit a man to gain the whole world, yet lose his life? Is that what the Bible asks? Caller, go ahead.
Yes, good morning. I want to take this opportunity to wish Dr. Hines a happy birthday and may all the things that he hopes for to enhance his life, his program, that those wishes are granted. And I promise you next year, I will start to contribute financially to these programs next year.
Like you expect an oil block.
Moving along. No, I ain't expect no oil block.
Go ahead, Randall.
But let me tell you something. These programs that you do, that people like you do, are means of education to us, and a place where we could air our hearts, our displeasures, discomforts, and everything that ails us. We are able to air it here. And we cannot sit down, everybody just sit down and depending on other people. So if you could put $1 or $2, at least I gonna feel good to know I am a contributor, not only with my, like what we know, but I like when I want to talk, I must have money in something.
Rhonda, forget the contribution, get to the point. What you call to tell me about?
I got to talk about this land. People, Africans, have got to get up and see what's going on. The Bible tells us where the two brothers, Esau and Jacob, sold this birthright for a pot of soup, a bowl of soup. And it seems that's why the disciples, we are the people, we started race. That Africans, black people, selling away the birthright for next to nothing. I know of a person who had a property, and they sold that property, go and live in Georgetown. Wanted them to fly out in this village. And the property that was being sold to go and live in Georgetown, less than $3 a year, this money they spent and they were on the road, the person run mad. Another one sell out, got to the States, eventually come back. Came back and offered the person about 5 times the amount of money, the 6th time that they sold it at. And the person refused. They had to migrate and live in town. People, land is your property. Land is what we get from before parents. Our foreparents pooled their monies in wheelbarrows to buy lands. And it's time that we stop selling off our lands and not have anything. Because when you sell the land, those same people will kick you out the land and put you on the pavement to live. Stop selling your lands. I cannot promise to come up there Sunday because I got something that I'm doing on Sunday. Or else I would have come up there Sunday to give advice, but I can't be with you. And I hope the people up there heed to your invitation and turn up and listen and plan a way forward. And to Dr. Hines, a very happy birthday.
Thank you, Rhonda. Voice note.
Oh, thanks, bye-bye.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki. Is the chairman alone make this decision to sell the land in BV, or the council them agree with him? Because from what I know, the chairman cannot make no decision by his own. So the council them agree with him. So you can't bash the chairman alone. You have to bash the whole NDC councillors also.
This call is right. I ought not to bash the council, the chairman alone. And by the end of my presentation, I hope she is convinced that I did not bash the chairman alone. But you know, the chairman controls and leads. The chairman is usually what they say, the face of the council, along with the overseer. And the chairman has a responsibility, especially to the fact that he is a baronian. To the baronians, he got a responsibility, even if the council is moving in this direction. I, as a villager, I, as a resident, I, as a trusted lieutenant of these people, must take it to them. I must call the community together, energize them to discuss this issue. So even if I'm the lone voice on the council against it, the numbers behind me will be strength enough to have people reconsider. That's what leaders do. So I'm not bashing the chairman alone. I'm saying all the councillors from, and I said it, all those who are representing APNU. Because you expect the PPP councillors to behave the way they behave, but you would expect that the APNU councillors, to the most part, will try to represent the interests of the people who they are there to represent, for the greater part. I say BV ain't got other races, but BV is majority black people. And if I know, and if you know, which we all do, our elections go down in this country, very few Indians would have supported them to be at the council. They would have supported the PPP. And so that's the reality. They owe it to black people to look out for black people's interests. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. Look like y'all ain't want to call. Y'all frightened? We are frightened to be called racist. Right? Or y'all are so caught up in thinking about your back pain. I'm looking for something to show you this morning. Oh, here it is. Call live, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki. Good morning, everyone in the diaspora. If today is Dr. Hines' birthday, I would like to say that happy birthday to Dr. David Hines.
Caller, you have to sing.
To show our...
Start singing. You request that when you call, I make you sing. So sing. Go ahead, caller.
Okay. Good. Happy birthday, Doc. We appreciate your scholarship. Okay? It's above par. I want you to know that, coming from me. Now, I want to also remind the APNU executive staff that when it comes time for the job of Minister of Education, don't forget Dr. Hines. Don't forget Dr. Hines for Minister of Education. Now, in talking about these RDCs go back to the issue of Kofi fighting for land in Guyana and Kofi winning and owning land in Guyana. That principle of ownership has never evaporated. Okay? So in terms of patrimony, that principle still is there and needs to be addressed in terms of African Guyanese owning the soil. Now, a second point I want to touch on, Dr. Vincent Alexander had spoke very eloquently, comprehensively about the sequence of how lands were allocated. Black people had bought at least 320 villages, I've been told. African Guyanese have bought at least 320 villages, I have been told, in Guyana. Now, those records, if that is accurate, those records can't dissipate. There has to be a paper trail of ownership. Now, Vincent Alexander had spoken about how lands were moved from ownership by Africans, and Africans said, well, let us keep it under a village council. And under the village council, they were gradually moved over to the regional council and the RDCs. That ownership hasn't evaporated. And these are issues our scholars, our researchers, whether we research the archives in England, in the United Kingdom, in Scotland, or in Guyana, those records exist. Okay, so I want to leave people with a little Christmas gift. The principle that Kofi fought and won land in Guyana, that principle has never evaporated. And the fact that Africans have bought at least 320 lands, that has never evaporated and can never be evaporated. Don't let nobody tell us about the state can come and take what doesn't belong to the state. I know they probably will come with this thing that you call eminent domain. eminent domain can be challenged. So don't let the state believe that it could bully African Guyanese into taking, which is rightfully theirs. And I want us to ponder on that. Thanks a lot. Something to consider, seriously. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, caller.
You're most welcome.
Y'all listen up. Kelly, good morning. I know you're tuned in.
Giving up is the birth of regret. At times, our purpose drops in our laps as if the heavens threw it by accident. Do not fear failure, but please be terrified of regret. As giving up is the birth of regret. In the summer of 2009, I was 19 years old, working a summer position at Target between my freshman and sophomore year at undergraduate school. I was working in the women's clothing department, and I noticed a lady staring at me from across the aisle. I figured she probably had a few screws loose, so I attempted to ignore her very intense stares. She eventually manages to make her way a little bit closer and closer to me where I was working until she eventually walks up to me and says hello. I say the famous Target quote, which is, "Hi, may I help you find something?" So now anytime someone says that to you all in Target, you know it's their job to say it to you. She then asks me, "Were you born in this country?" And I was immediately offended. And I said, "Yeah, I was born in this country." And then she says, "Do you have any kids?" I said, "No, I don't have any kids." She then asked me if I was married. And then I said, "No, ma'am, I am not married." She says, "How old are you?" I said, 19. "May I help you find something?" She then says, "You are the most beautiful girl I have seen." And I said, "Oh, thank you." I didn't work that much for my makeup, but I did the best I could, but thank you. And then she says, "I think you could be the next Miss USA." And I stare at her in pure disgust and said, "Pageants? You're telling me pageants like Sandra Bullock, Miss Congeniality. Pageants? You think I should compete in pageants? I'm in the Army, okay? We don't do pageants in the Army." She then asked me to meet her at Starbucks the very next day before my next shift at Target. And she just wanted to do a little bit of explaining when it comes to what pageants is. And apparently I was a pretty open-minded 19-year-old because I actually agreed to meet her the very next day. The next day, she brought this foot-tall stack of pageant books and proceeds to convince me to enter into a state pageant 3 months later. For those who do not know, when it comes to Miss USA, you have to win your state first, okay? So 3 months later, I compete in my first pageant, and I lose. I go back the second year, compete in the state pageant. I lose. Go back the third year, compete in the state pageant, and lose. Go back the fourth year, compete in the same pageant, and lose. I go back the fifth year, y'all, compete in the state pageant and lose. But guess what? I go back the sixth year. Guess what happens? I lose. I called her on the phone and said, "You told me I could be the next Miss USA." And she says, "Deshauna, keep working, don't quit, keep going back." And in June of 2015, she passes away from leukemia. 6 months later, in December 2015, I win Miss District of Columbia, USA. And 6 months after that, in June of 2016, I become the first soldier to win Miss USA. And you all already know where I'm going with this. At times, our purpose drops in our laps as if the heavens threw it by accident. I ask only one thing of you all today after you leave this building, after accomplishing an amazing goal. Do not fear failure, but please be terrified of regret. As giving up is the birth of regret. After you walk out this door, you will receive 100 doors shut, slammed in your face. You will have 100 moments that will be filled with someone telling you no. Or telling you, thank you for your application, but we regret to inform you that we've chosen a different candidate for this job. You will sit in 100 different interviews and you will not get the job. The reality of life is that we will all hear more no's than we hear yeses. And we will fail a lot, and I mean a whole lot. But what I ask of you today is to not take no for an answer. Don't be afraid of no's. Be afraid of the possibility of a yes that you have prematurely destroyed because you decided to quit before the clock strikes 12. You can ask anyone, friend, family, anybody. I love a good no. Please tell me no. Telling me no is like adding fuel to a fire that is now set ablaze because of your single no. I love additional reasons to work harder. Please give me a reason. So today I challenge you to fight, to work, to not stop here, to believe so heavily in your aspirations that you too will not fear the word no, but instead you will choose to welcome it. Thank you for your time.
You are tuned to the BUXTONIAN Morning Time.
Bora, irmão, levanta aí, tiozão. Meu Deus, o que aconteceu aqui, galera? Rapaziada, mano, bora. Ô, irmão, ó, deixa eu surpreender aqui, mano. Pera aí que o cara caiu, mas não caiu. Esse que caiu, depois levantou. Não sei o que aconteceu aqui agora não, galera. Eu acho que deu merda aqui, velho. O cara fingiu que caiu, depois levantou, depois fingiu que caiu. Eita, nós, velho. Eu não entendo isso aqui não, tropa. Na moral, velho, não dá pra entender não, rapaziada. Meu Deus, por que ele correu na hora que eu ia abordar ele, galera? Na hora que eu ia sair. Ele tá com alguma coisa de antes, rapaz, não dá pra entender não, meu tropa.
Yes, welcome back.
Só tem 4 smartphones, beleza, mano.
What's happening here, man?
Justiça Central, verifica pra mim se o Tony nasceu no dia 19/3/2002, que é sério. Ah, mano, tá explicado, galera. O tiozão é procurado.
Yeah, forgive me, I don't know what's happening.
De prisão em aberto, meu chat. O tiozão tá com mandado de prisão em aberto, meu.
Oh, here it is.
Moleque, cara, aí deu um... Ó.
Here it is. Get out people face. You're too fronty. Look at you. Yes, so you're tuned to the BUXTONIAN Morning Time. Welcome back. Yes, I wasn't really willing. I wasn't really playing it. I don't know why it was being played. Anyways, we are back together. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. It's now 8 hours 15 and you're tuned to the BUXTONIAN Morning Time. Let's talk about not giving up on your hopes and dreams. Let's talk about holding on to those lands. Them lands, so you got them little boys selling out and giving away. They're giving away the birthright. They don't even know it. They do not even know it. And since you only one call, we in the Christmas, we come down. So let me give you some good Christmas music. It's Friday. This Friday I'm taking it light. I never feel how stress me out. Tomorrow is Congress. Right? And I encourage you, Andrew Weeks is vying for Central Exec Committee. I think he's a decent chap. I've had my run-ins with him and so on. I've known him for quite a while. And he's a decent chap. Right? He might be a little stiff-necked and so, but y'all, those delegates who are listening, consider. Y'all consider Andrew Weeks. He knows the ground. Worked with AGP and so he knows the communities. He knows the ins and outs of communities. He has been on the ground. He has been doing social work and so on. And he's a people's person. At least you're going to get to talk to him. Not like some of the old heads who are currently there. Right? So y'all consider giving Andrew Weeks a nudge towards the Central Exec Committee. Right? I am Kiraki Amsterdam and I endorse Andrew, but I'm not a PNC member, so I don't know if y'all can give me words with. Well, Aroy! It's Christmas time, man. Y'all still cleaning? I told y'all yesterday, part of the problem we got is we leave all the muck for the whole year and then we try to get it out in a few days or weeks. And that is what we've been doing with this government. It's more than a year now. We put up with that muck for 23 years. We got rid of them and then we couldn't put up with the replacement for the muck for 5 years apparently. They got pushed out of power. And here we are with the muck again. And for more than 15 months, nobody has really challenged. Nobody has really made some real efforts. You know? There's not been a concerted effort on all fronts to get the muck out of the way. Right? And so I'm hoping that after Congress tomorrow, we're going to see a real push to get the sludge out of government. That's what I'm hoping. That after tomorrow you get the leader you want and deserve. And I hope the leader gives you what you expect and deserve. Right? Here is John Holt for you.
It's for Christmas, the season of good cheer. H is for happiness to last throughout the year. That each and all should show in this holy season, wherever you may go. I is for indulgence, to know how far to go. S is for Santa Claus, the children all do know. T is for toy, for little girls and boys. Around the world where they may be, you find them joyfully. M is for manger, the place where he was born. A is for angel, who watch from dusk till dawn. S is for star, that led three men from afar. And remembering these, we hope you see a very Merry Christmas, wherever you may be. For Christmas, the season of good cheer. H is for happiness to last throughout the year. R is for respect, that each and all should show in this holy season, wherever you may go. I is for indulgence, to know how far to go. S is for Santa Claus, children all do know. T is for toy, for little girls and boys. Around the world where they may be, you find them joyfully. M is for manger, the place where he was born. A is for angel, who watch from dusk till dawn. S is for star, that led three men from afar. And remembering these, we hope you see a very Merry Christmas, wherever you may be. Merry Christmas, everyone.
I tell you, on Fridays I like knock you out with hearts. I like throw punches and knock people under the belly and so. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. I tell you, I'll call and let us talk about meaningful things. You only one call. People sending me Christmas song. Eh? Y'all suddenly turn DJ. But let us talk about the things that matter. The things that will make a difference in the black communities. Christmas is not necessarily one of them. Right? Christmas is not necessarily one of them. Somebody wants a birthday song for Dr. Hines. Send your selection. Should I play it in Hindi for that racist? Should I help him to appreciate the other people's culture? Because they say he's a racist. Is that what you want me to play for the doctor? Happy birthday, Dr. Hines. Tell him he just listen to the tune too. That's what DJs do. Happy birthday! I just never understood. Bring up yourself, Dr. David Hines from Buxton. Could not have a David Wood. Special greetings are definitely coming to you from Roy Go Cool. And Christopher Ram and Robbie Depp. Definitely a good friend, Freddie Kissoon. But dream as clear as he. When you're ready, guys, for the birthday party, come back to Ram's place. Thanks to Martin Luther King. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Call it live. Just remember, this is not a birthday request line. Good morning. You're live.
You are so bad. You are so bad. You are so bad. I must say, happy birthday, Dr. Hines. Dr. Hines, happy birthday. I wish you all the best on this year's special day. This is from your friend, Imogene, and her sister. Happy birthday. And to you, Kadaki, listen, a lot of people does not like when you try to put them in the right place or tell them what to do. So people, they said people like money. And money, they don't understand. They don't understand that you must keep things that your parents work hard and give to you. Pass it down to your children. But I guess some people doesn't like that. They just like to have the money, they're gonna have a good time, and that's it. And leave their children in poverty. No, you must not. Regardless of what, you must not. You must have to pass those things down. They don't see. Look at the Indian people. Look how much they have, and they're passing it down to their children. Sometimes they only have one child, and that child inherits every single thing.
And they're still grabbing for more.
And I'm telling you, and still grabbing to get more. They don't understand that. They have to look at their leaders. Look at their leaders, how much they have. And they don't have kids, but they're still taking it. They don't care. They don't care. They have to. Maybe you guys have to have meetings and push them to let them know that you don't sell property. You gotta keep it and make the best out of it. Have a good day, Kadaki.
You too, call. Have a good day yourself. Lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. It's 8:30. It's Dr. Hines' birthday. Boy, look fresh like a rose. Thanks to Mama Fifi, syringes and vomits. Hey, let's tell you all a story. When you see Dr. Hines and his brother used to boil medicine in the village, it used to be medicine for the entire village. So the man knows the secret, right? That is why he continues to look good. The lines remain open. 6225933. Let's talk the things. Call it live. Call it live. Call it live. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki. Happy Friday to you. I would like to wish Dr. Hines a happy birthday. And to all the December baby. I had a baby in December and I didn't like it because you know what? It put a spoke in my wheel for preparation for the Christmas. But I know that these things do happen. So happy birthday to him. On the land issue, I would like to say that in most of these African black villages, the lands are underutilized because they had land space. They should be building their house or whatever, because you go in the Indian area, you want to find a speck of empty land available. They was able to take the land from the peasants people to build the Prado, is what Prado 2 in Pleasant. So the people need to occupy their lands. And then you could go afterwards and get whatever paper. You have a wonderful Friday, and I'm looking forward to the program tomorrow. God bless you.
Tomorrow we got the After Congress line. This is the only way you're hearing anything, child. Have a good day.
After Congress line? Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Dennis Booker sent cake and stuff for your friend by. Happy birthday, doctor. If you see how your cake nice and cream and brown chocolate laced. Woo! I look the champagne too, buddy. Come now, we drink this thing. Oh, it's a moit. We having fun at Kedam's place tomorrow on the doctor's birthday. I hope he checkbook tall. Or you haven't stand the expenses. The lines remain open 6225933. We're talking about BV and the lands. Don't be afraid to talk. I'll be playing birthday songs to the doctor too. Calling live, good morning.
Good morning, Kadaki. First, let me say happy Earth Strong Day to Mr. Dr. Hines, sorry. Talking about lands, we got to learn to grab and hold on to our things. I have a cousin in Kanji, right? Had to fight for 3 pieces of generational land. And then one of them turned up to him and offered him turned up his nephew and offered $35 million. You know what the little kid said? You could offer everything you have, we don't want your money. We got to take those kind of stands. These are the kind of stands we got to take. Right? Move on to this Christmas thing. I see our people shopping like we crazy right now. The one I realize that the people who they're shopping from, Christmas is not a part of their holidays, of their religion and their holidays. But you know what? They profit the most. We got to really think and reset our stuff, how we do stuff. All right, that's all I have to say today.
Thank you, caller. Somebody has asked the question. Why no one is talking about moving inland? No one is talking about moving inland because there's still a land grab taking place on the coastland. Are you aware that there are plans to build a new community they call Silica City? For the PPP friends and family? Y'all are aware of that? Pay attention, stay woke, read, listen, and learn. It's now 8:35. You're onto the BUXTONIAN morning time and it's Friday. We're taking it light. But while you're taking it light, you recognize that Guy Suko has been given another what? $2 billion, is it? Another $2 billion for Guy Suko from that supplementary budget. How much the public servants got? Jaiwan Bondari, I hope you're enjoying this one. Voice note.
Yeah, singing, huh? Wow, I never quite thought of it that way. But you know, different people hear different things when they listen to something, huh? Yeah. So, take it as a compliment, right? I mean, I know persons said that and meant it in a very well-intended way, and I would accept it as such, right? Yeah, my brother. Yeah. I was thinking about it, and that could be a good thing, right? Most definitely. Yeah, I seriously, because I'm listening to Dr. Hines and I'm saying to myself, I don't agree with everything Dr. Hines says, but most of what he says, at least about 90% of what he says, I agree with. And I think he would make a good job as a Minister of Education. Now, the last guy they had there with the WPA, I think at one time it was the WPA leader, right? The East Indian guy, forget what his name, some Rup Narayan or something, right? He's a very intelligent guy, well-spoken guy, very intelligent guy. But like I said, there are certain issues that Dr. Hines could address more, right? I seriously see that, right? I mean, you could see that. I mean, on the issue of wealth, That needs to be addressed from an educational standpoint.
It's now 20 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour, and you tune to the BUXTONIAN Morning Time. The lines remain open. What wrong with y'all this morning? You guys seem so afraid.
From an issue of what our children need to learn from primary to university, where Africans are concerned. That was never addressed.
Like BV people are not on this live. Call a live. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Kadaki.
Good morning.
And good morning to your viewers. And happy birthday to Dr. Hines.
Good.
Yeah, the thing is it with our people, they love to be living in Georgetown. Yes? There's so much land on the highway. Yes? Vast amount of land. And you know what they said? Oh, that's too far. I don't want to go up there. Everybody wants to be in the city. Yes? And then when the Chinese come and the Indians go up there and take the land and occupy, everybody will say, oh, they're taking a land, but there's vast land up there. The government wouldn't say, oh, y'all go and take land. You have to go and occupy the land, just like how people go to Sophia many years ago, weed every Sunday and occupy the land and put down the structure. The same way they can go there. Up the highway, there's so many land up there, vast amount of land that doesn't even get touched yet. So our people like to be in the city. And that's it. So that's my take.
Thank you, caller. I'm not sure that there's still a vast amount of free lands available on the highway because, as far as I understand, the PPP of past and present did a job on giving away those lands to the people, right? So now I don't think you can just turn up and occupy. You might be occupying somebody's land. You have to do your investigations first. Thank you, however.
Kadaki, I'm telling you from experience because I don't want to say too much, but people need to. It's so much I can say, but people need to go.
Thank you, caller.
There's land.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Voice note.
Morning, Kadaki. Morning, all viewers and listeners. I heard something in the news. I don't know if it's propaganda, but I want you to find out or you to shine some light on it. I read something about on the internet about the Ministry of Agriculture saying that the 250,000 the Gaisuku workers relief wasn't a severance, it was just a one-off payment, and you're hearing that one-off payment got to do with like buying these Gaisuku people vote during the election and the government paying them for the vote that they bought, that they cast for them. Could you shine some light on that for me, bro? It's disgusting if it's confirmed to be true. It's damn right disgusting. Wake up, Guyana. It's time for a revolution. Wake up, Guyanese. This segregation must stop. This segregation must stop. Thank you.
Well, in response to this voice note, let me say that the $250,000 could not have been severance pay because the retrenched, the severed workers had already received their full payment. I mentioned that before. The APNU paid severance in two parts, if I can say that, because they had paid out the sum and then they were asking for time to pay the rest. And the unions, I think somebody went to court on it, perhaps an landlord. And the courts ruled that the balance must be paid. A date was given by which it had to be paid, and it was also paid with interest, right? Interest of 3%, I think, was placed on it. And so all of the severance pay that was due to the severed workers was paid out. So this $250,000 is nothing but a grant. And so if you say it's a grant that was used to buy votes, then it might very well be that. But the long story is, it was a grant. It could not have had anything to do with severance pay. Call it live, good morning.
Good morning, Kadaki. This is something I want to bring to you. It's reality. A lot of these military, Ramla Khan and all these officers in the police force and in the army, all them coolie officers and policemen in the police force, all of them, they get land occupying on the highway. You understand? It's time black people get up and get, man. All these banners are pushing the drugs in Guyana, crippling and parching the young black men's brains that they can't go out and work, they don't want to work, they're thinking for themselves. It's time these young people, the black people get up and wake up and see the light of the day. Help themselves. The young men who passed in the era with Jagdio was in government. All of them, the brains parched because they cripple them with the drugs with the put in the country, that they become bums and they can hardly help themselves. This is my take for the morning. Rwanda, keep up the good work. Y'all get a boat on the West Coast, then run where they get a lot of young black men crippled. Thank you.
Thank you. Silica City! Y'all heard about Silica City? I don't know. A lot of people tell themselves a lot of land is on the highway. I can't argue, I can't doubt, but I'm hoping to get Trevor Ben on a program. If I can get him for one of our Sunday feature, that would be great. Because Trevor Ben is the former Commissioner of Lands and Survey. And so he might have a good idea of how lands are distributed in this country, where lands are available, and what you need to do to access those lands. I mean, we're going to talk part. We can't talk everything on the open. But, you know, once you talk part, you could whet the appetite of other people to go and search for information. This is Movado. Land for me represents an investment. It's long-term capital. It's fresh cash. Y'all might not believe it. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Hi, good morning, Amsterdam. Good morning. I want to speak here about grant. The grant was it was a grant. There don't have to be a reason to be given out grant. Why specifically a grant was needed for the Kaisuku workers? And there are other industries, there are other public service areas. But that was chosen. There was any reason given for such an urgency for a grant to be given to Kaisuku workers?
Severed Gaisuko workers. Severed. Those who were dismissed under the coalition.
Yeah, but they were paid. They were paid.
Brother man.
What was the urgency?
Go ahead.
Yeah. What was the urgency they were paid? They severed.
The urgency was the PPP rewarding its people. There was no other urgency. The urgency is the same urgency as them giving the PYO boys the work to do the agricultural assessment in regions 5 and 6. The urgency is the same urgency with which they give their supporters $100,000 grant in region 6. That's the urgency. Right? We promise y'all, we will reward you for your votes, and we are rewarding you for your votes.
So under the financial regulation, that was lawful.
Well, you know, what is lawful as against what is moral or ethical? There's a thin line. It might be lawful, but is it moral or ethical? And to check the lawfulness, one would have to approach the courts. I don't see any of our representatives approaching the courts. I would gather that so long as something is voted in the National Assembly, then it is lawful. Doesn't make it ethical.
Okay. These guys, they got a lot of way of going around things and make it legal. That bloody well, that constitution, my God. I thought that there must be a reason, and I forgot that they got a parliament that works only one vote will make a big difference. You can carry the whole Guyana with one vote, or you could turn Guyana upside down with just one vote. Something got to be done then. Something got to be done about that constitution. These guys, who go in power win, who lose. You know, there's no particular saying with the opposition. The opposition is a completely dead position if you to look at it generally there in Guyana. You know, because they don't have any saying in Parliament, and there's nothing there that could go on to stop this one vote thing. You know. And yeah, Kaliki, thank you very much. I want to know, man, because I want them guys to go to jail this time around when you see them come out from office.
Thank you for calling. You gotta elect me president. Otherwise, nobody ain't going to jail. Vice Nose.
Good morning, Kadaki. It's a very interesting program about land this morning. I'm from a little village called Sandford, located on West Kenji of the Beast. I find that too many people don't know about Sandford. It's a slave village. Sandford is one way in and one way out. It has a lot of ancestral land, most in the backland, but most residents occupy the front of the village. When I left the village, the lands in Sandford didn't have title. People can now obtain title to the land. I don't know if that was made possible under the PPP or when the coalition came into power. Sandford is now looking lucrative and everybody wants a piece of land. In 2018, someone who worked with the NDC told me in confidence that we need to do something about our land because if we don't, the NDC will take it. To be honest, I didn't understand what the NDC was all about. However, I learned recently made by the government, and I think it was done when the PPP was in government. Thanks.
Call it live. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I can't watch you.
Pardon?
I can't watch you.
Okay.
I tried to finish program.
Yes, it is the program.
Okay?
Are you calling for the program? Oh. All right. I'll call you when I'm done. Okay, that wasn't intended to be Let's remember 6225933 is the number to call. Let's talk about some fresh cash in the meantime.
Still I count all money, and me no job no new money yet. Hey, when you make a dollar, you fi spin it, you fi turn it around and spin it. Millions in the billy, now I one bag of teeth when you see me. Fresh cash, fresh cash, fresh cash. As me Friday gone, me Friday come back. Fresh cash, fresh cash. I we say fresh cash. As me Friday gone, me Friday come. Every hustler, when I make the money up, spin it. Time my luck every minute. Island luck every minute. Them gyal get every minute. Feel what? TMM means too much money. Them no one get a youth make so much money. Why they? If you watch them, still have the white paper for me cash them. If your money dirty, you better go wash them. Money wanted me out and me catch them. Me I know that blue lights and me match them. Match them, no they never stop spend. Fresh cash, fresh cash. Oh, we say fresh cash. As me Friday gone, me Friday come back. Fresh cash, fresh cash. No be a fresh cash. As me Friday gone, me Friday come back. The days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Friday. Wednesday and Thursday and Saturday fly out. See a man a slap a girl with 1,000 Kyle. Me black and highly money white as style. Lord me a kill the place untimely. Me pocket a fi fatter than a child. Bad man no love sweets, but money a fi Clyde. If hustling a charge, me guilty don't try me. Fresh cash, fresh cash. Oh, we say fresh cash. As me Friday gone, me Friday come back. Boy, fresh cash, fresh cash. No be a fresh cash. As me Friday gone, me Friday come back. Every hustler, when they make the money up, spin it. Try my luck every minute. Island luck every minute. Them gyal I get every minute. If you want.
Voice note.
Good morning, Kadaki. I feel that this land situation is very, very disturbing. Persons have applied for land for years and cannot have it. Now with that situation that is happening in BV, I think all are involved and all are consumed. If persons were made aware, if persons are educated on what is going on, I think that better could be done. Our people are suffering and something needs to be done.
Yes, remember to turn on the volume of your device when you're recording a video and audio message for us, okay? It's now 8 hours 53. We have 7 minutes to program time, so I'll take Fresh Cash from top, and that's a goodbye for me.
Good production.
I'll take one other call or voice note. But we're heading out.
Still I count all money, I'm in a job for no new money yet.
Remember Sunday at 3 o'clock, we're coming to BV to talk with the Baronians. If you're overseas or you're local, let them know. We are coming to BV. We have to have a discussion with the Baronians about 100+ acres of land that is about to be sold by the NDC to John Finance.
Hey, when you make a dollar, you fi spin it. You fi turn it around and spin it. Millions in the billy. Now I want bag of teeth when you see me. Fresh cash. Fresh cash. Fresh cash.
Voice note.
My fellow Guyanese, who are members of the People's National Congress Reform, I urge you to cast your vote for Aubrey Compton Norton as leader of the People's National Congress come December the 18th.
Okay, you can't come and campaign for Aubrey Norton on this program, man. Like that was a legitimate voice note about today's issue. Fresh cash.
As me Friday gone, me Friday come back. Fresh cash. Fresh cash. I we say fresh cash. As me Friday gone, me Friday come. Every hustler when they make the money up, spin it. Try my luck every minute. Island luck every minute. Them gyal I get every minute. If you want TMM means too much money. Them no one get a youth make so much money. Why they if you watch them? Still have the white paper for me cash them. If your money dirty, you better go wash them. Money wanted me out and me catch them. Me I know that blue lights and me match them. Match them. Money I never stop spend. Fresh cash. Fresh cash. Oh, we say fresh cash. As my Friday gone, my Friday come back. Fresh cash. Fresh cash.
Stick up in. Is who this? Linda Campbell? Well, Linda, you can't use my program to be abusing Buxtonians. If you know they're occupying your land illegally, you have to go to the courts or take the necessary steps to deal with it. You can't come attacking people on my program like this, Linda. Linda, you want to set me up, man? Fresh cash. But you know, on the other side, I wonder if these lands which Linda is saying are being occupied illegally by people, and the lands are a relative's land. Were these lands left unoccupied, not taken care of, etc., etc.? Linda, were you not vigilant enough to cause these things to happen? Because it seems to be a black people problem. We are not vigilant enough with our stuff. And then when we wake up, we find people and them and it's hell and razor to get them off. I'm just asking. But don't come cussing people out for my program. I learned some boxing people business that I didn't even know.
Days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Wednesday and Thursday and Saturday fly out to your man a slap a girl with 1,000 Kyle. Me black and oily money white as style. Lord me a kill the place and timely. Me pocket off it fatter than a child. Bad man no love sweets but money off it Clyde. If hustling a charge me guilty don't try me. Fresh cash. Fresh cash. Oh, we say fresh cash. As my Friday gone, my Friday come back, boy. Fresh cash. A fresh cash. Maybe a fresh cash. As my Friday gone, my Friday come back. Every hustler, when you make the money up, spin it. Time my luck every minute. Island luck every minute.
Goodbye. See you tomorrow. Barry Salmon saying goodbye for me. No goodbyes. Big up yourself and have a wonderful weekend. Come down to Kiram's place and let's live for Congress. Tomorrow it is.
Every time I think of saying goodbye,
Stacy Marquez. You see you girl? Ay. No bad. Hey. Just to say the least.
No one can. Yes, you've been with me right through the rough.
Thank you for tuning in.
And you never said I had enough.
Thank you for your continued support.
So I can.
Be safe. And adhere to the COVID regulations. Have a great day, y'all.
Hey, honey, I'd like to repay you.
Your contributions can be sent via Cash App, MMT, Western Union,
You've been hurting.
MoneyGram as a last resort.
So fine, and it's blowing my mind. I know I should back and walk away and leave you nothing.
Well, you gotta pay for that all we don't twice.
Well, I no, honey, no.
It's Friday, we can take it light, man. No, Yonet, I can't play that Aubrey Norton voice to you because I don't have any voice for Richard Van West Charles nor Joe Harmon. You know, something struck me last night. Of all the programs done on KAMSTV, where the candidates in leadership of the PNC, Joe Harmon has not appeared on one single program. This man is leadership material for truth. He's just like Granger. There's someone for you.
I can't, no, I can't. Every time I think of saying goodbye, everything inside me says it's alright. So I can't, no I can't, no I can't. Yes, you've been with me right through the rough, and you never said I had enough. So I can't, no I can't, no I can't. Hey honey, I'd like to repay you for damages done.
Big up yourself.
I know I won't be able to repair it all, cause I lost count.
You must start celebrating our weekend now. Or Joe.
You've been hurting.
Or you was Joe.
And it's
or whoever your candidate.
I know I should back and walk away and leave you nothing to remind, but I can't. Oh, I can't. No, I can't. No, honey, no.
Just wish I was man enough to come out and say it to you. You know?
Like to repay you for damages done. away and leave you nothing to remind. But I can't, no, I can't, no, I can't. Every time I think of saying goodbye, everything inside me says it's a lie. So I can't, no, I can't, no, I can't, baby, 'cause you've been with me right through the road, and you never said I had enough. So I can't, no, I can't, no, I can't. I try, but I can't. Try no matter how hard I try, I can't. I know I was I'm glad to live it, baby. But you're so kind, everything I do. No.